Dr. Kurush Dalal, he's doing what he loves to do best. I think he has no option but to speak about home chefs. But jokes apart, Kurush is a doctor in archaeology, and in his one life, he gives lectures. He takes people to archaeological sites and they dig. We have a podcast together, which we are going to talk today after maybe a year. This is called K&K Dig Food. He has a catering company, which is Katie's Kitchen, which was started by his mom. And it has taken through different phases, from restaurant catering to wedding catering to now from a organized kitchen and so on. And we are going to talk to Kurush about why think local. And as we talk, you're going to get to know more about the session.
So thank you so much to UpperCrust and to Kalyan for having me here. And yes, Kalyan is a very dear friend. I'm very biased. Let me start by telling you that my mom was a home chef when the term home chef didn't exist. I mean, she never knew she was a home chef. She'd have been tickled pink to be called home chef. So she was a caterer, or as most people in Bombay said, a cateress. Okay? And she worked out of home. The entire business started out of home. We were catering to hundreds of people out of a home kitchen. Let me put it this way. Homes were smaller, number of rooms wise, but rooms were larger back then. So some things were possible which aren't quite feasible from your kitchen today. My mom was an archaeologist. She excavated pre-Harappan sites on the Indo-Pakistan border, submitted a thesis at a time when women were told they couldn't do archaeology because, it was a tough, hard job. And then she basically gave the archaeology business the finger and went back home. She was also a bit of a crazy woman. So, every time I have these issues of, people saying, teach your sons to respect women more, the women in my family led by example. So there was no question about not respecting those women. My mom firmly believed that anything a man did, a woman could do better. She fell into the catering business purely by accident. Now, I know a lot of people plan to get into the food business and plan to be home chefs. My mother's story was a very different trajectory. We had a close family friend who shifted from VT to Andheri, and his job was still at Ballet Pier. And 3 times a week he'd be at home eating lunch with us. And one day he said, look, I can't handle this any longer. Will you send me a dabba? Will you send me lunch to office? So mom said, yeah, cooking for 5 at home, we'll cook for 6. He said, you got to take money, otherwise I got to stop coming. And that's how it became a business. Less than 15 days into my mother's first foray into business, he came home with 2 of his friends and said, they're eating my lunch every day. You got to start dabba for them also. She never looked back. I'm going to say a couple of things which are not going to make people happy. The first is, anybody can be a good cook. Anybody. But great cooks are born. Either you've got the shiz or you ain't got the shiz. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't want a great cook in the kitchen under you. You want a good cook who, as everybody was saying before this, will come in every day at the same time, will wait till as late as possible, will make the same thing again and again and again, will use muscle memory to cut 50 kilos of onions in the morning before cooking starts. That's the guy you want working under you. The second thing I'm going to say, which is going to really upset a lot of people. If food is 100% identical every day, you're doing something wrong. Now, all my friends who are in the 5-star industry are going to stab themselves with a blunt teaspoon when they hear me say this. But if your food tastes the same every day, something is deathly wrong with your food. The reasons for this are very simple. The flavors of water change with the seasons. Horrible thing, that water, unless you're cooking in Bisleri. Tomatoes change with the season, unless you're using ketchup. And that's a good con, and I respect people who do that. Stability comes through it, but tomatoes change with the seasons. Potatoes change with the seasons. Onions change with the seasons. If you're really pouring out identical food throughout the year, you're using frozen food pastes from a freezer, you aren't a chef worth talking about. Most important thing, you've got to believe in yourself. It doesn't matter what your insecurities are. It doesn't matter that you are cowering behind a tea towel 5 minutes ago before you had to step either in front of the chula or in front of the client. When you get there, you have to own that 4 square feet. That's your bloody jagir. Nobody can take it away from you. Even if you don't have confidence at that moment, you have got to be supremely confident. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no amount of skill, no amount of money, no amount of social media managers are going to do shit for you. Okay? If you don't believe that you can cut the mustard, nobody can do it for you. There's only that much hand-holding that can be done. When I was 13 years old, she said, I wanted to go to the market every morning before school, when I'd be here for boarding school breaks. And I wanted to buy chicken, I wanted to buy mutton, I wanted to buy veggies, I wanted to buy fruit. Her thing was very simple. This is a family business. You are family. You don't expect to eat for free. If the family has a family business, as a home chef, everybody pitches in. I see so many women home chefs who are slogging away in the kitchens when their husbands are sitting up and watching cricket match and drinking beer. It's a great time to have beer and watch a cricket match. But when your woman's slaving away in the kitchen to make sure that electricity bill, the cable bill and the beer are paid for, the decent thing is to be with her in the kitchen. Even from the sidelines if you can't cook. There's a lot of stuff you can do when you can't cook. So that's going to piss off a lot of men. Point number 3. Women are tougher than men, which is why women end up doing these things. Look at it. 90% of the home chefs are women. They're not men. There are men in the game. There are men who've got skin in the game. But basically you've got women. And you've got women here because they're tough and they're hard as nails. The last point that I'd like to make before I give poor Kalyan a chance to speak is that women in India have always been the repositories of our food traditions. And women have been kept illiterate. Today we're all very proud that we've all been to college and school and stuff like that over here. But put this in your pipe and smoke it. 1897, India's first educational survey. The number of women, the percentage of women educated in India, 2%. You come a long way, you got a long way to go. So uneducated women teaching women and keeping traditions alive. This is why there's very little history of food in India, which is a good thing. You can always claim this is a traditional family recipe. So what if you've got avocados and yuzu pulp in it, right?
Now, a lot of people who are home chefs, they feel that what they cook at home is very simple. Who'd be interested in that? They need to learn something fancy, something from another country, or what restaurants are doing, or TV chefs are doing. What they're doing at home is very humble, very simple. Who'd be interested in that? They're having it every day. Your point of view on that?
So my point of view on that is very simple. If you're cooking for a bunch of people who belong to your community and they're calling in for food and it's not an everyday thing, okay, they definitely don't want to eat same old. When I do Parsi tiffins and I send out masoor and cutlass and margina ras chawal, that's because they're not cooking at home and eating daily food from me. That's not party food. That's not what my clients are going to ask for. They'll want patrani machi and sali margi and mutton palav and lagannu custard, which you can't eat every day. Believe you me. Okay, but it's celebration food, right? So what happens is that the yummy, tasty dishes, irrespective of context, become the flag bearers of the community. If you aren't comfortable with the food that your community cooks, don't cook it. It's as simple as that. If you're not comfortable, don't cook it. So my mother did a lot of what was called continental. Nobody on the continent has ever eaten any of it. No Russian has eaten Russian salad or Russian cutlets or Russian patties. The clients who want all the really old, intriguing dishes, for me, are clients who come back from America after 30 years. Canada after 40 years, this old man comes back and says, "This is my swan song. I have come to see the land of my birth one last time. I'm 80 years old, Mr. Dalal. I want to eat what my grandmother cooked." So then I'll do things like Titori Ma Margi, Goar Singh Ma Kolmi, Masoor Ma Jeeb, which Parsis today will look at me in Mumbai and say, "What are you talking about, man? Who eats this kind of stuff?" I'm like, this is the real shiz. This is what we were eating 50 years ago.
You know, because sometimes I feel this thing to go with trends, even cook local, cook millet, could also become an intimidating trend.
See, the food business is a horrible business. 3 out of 4 eateries shut down. This is something that all home chefs should know. If you're a very good home chef, it does not mean you will be a very good caterer or restaurateur. People regularly ask me, "Arey, Dr. Dalal, you should open a restaurant here." I'm like, "Nako. I know my limitations. मेरे को मेरी औकात मालूम है. I'm a good caterer. At the same time, if I don't want to cook tomorrow, I can shut my shop and walk away. You can't do that with a restaurant. It's 24/7, 365 in Bombay. Do not, repeat, do not hire fancy, expensive labor. You are the home chef, right? So you know what you're cooking, right? If you can't teach somebody else to cook it, you might as well give up right now. It's all about believing in the people who work for you and training them and giving them chances to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. A lot of us are scared. A lot of us fear things. Start small, scale up. Remember, there will be setbacks. Bad times come, but remember this, the bad times have come and gone. The bad times have made me strong. What can't kill you only makes you tougher. So sometimes, yeah, there are bad times. Everybody has them. See, we don't put them up on social media. You know, you won't have a picture of me sitting in a corner holding my head and saying, shit, अगले महीने का पगार कैसा होने वाला है? That's not what gets to social media. 4 years, I couldn't do salaries before the 15th of the month. When finally, in the October of 2019, I did salary on the 2nd of the month, my staff looked at me like I was crazy. So, check, तुम ठीक है क्या? Loan भी नहीं लिया क्या?
Like any party occasion, it has to be Kurush's food, and the dishes are fixed, and they know exactly what they expect. And at the end of it, they say no food like Kurush's food. Thank you, Kurush. This is the UpperCrust mug to Kurush. And thank you for such a lovely, I think, candid, kitchen confidential sort of talk. And this is a gift from ITC. I'm part of the ITC store. And
Thank you. Much appreciated, especially the biscuits.